Yeah, I think very soon I'm gonna do some cutting on that plastic. Maybe get rid of those giant mufflers too, put something smaller up in there.
This is not a how-to video. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm in no way qualified to tell you how to do anything. I'm just showing you what I did. When I started this project, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. This video shows my process of figuring it out as I go. If you don't care to watch all the detail, which is perfectly understandable, you can jump to the timestamp on the screen for a 2-minute summary that explains the steps I took to increase my departure angle.
This stupid plastic bumper cover has been nothing but problems. It's just, I don't know if you can see that, it's just basically a scoop pointing in that direction. It snags in the sand, it snags in the snow, it snags on any sort of departure angle issue sort of spot, and it just keeps getting bent and tweaked and torn and damaged. So I think some of it's going to go away. Then maybe also something with these gigantic mufflers. I don't know if you can see how dented up this is. It is seriously banged up. There are aftermarket axle back exhaust systems you can get, bolt on right there, and have much smaller mufflers, but they're not cheap. I may just see if I can just get these cut out and something welded in there that's smaller. Potential line to follow would be to just let this curve come up there and then just cut straight across there, but I think maybe what makes more sense is to just follow this line there and maybe just continue right along that seam right there. That means wrapping around here. Oh. The dirt of 1,000 roads. Well, I saw John DZ Adventuring cut his front bumper using a Dremel tool. I don't have one of those, but I had pretty good luck using my angle grinder to cut the plastic of my front grille. So I think I'll just use that and see how it goes. Yeah, it's not too bad. It goes pretty smoothly. I'll need to clean it up a little bit, but that's not too bad. Obviously, I'm gonna have to cut back the lower part of this fender liner and either cut or eliminate this piece of plastic right here. It's held in with a clip right there and some clips up inside of there. This is where it's gonna get trickier to follow this seam cleanly. I don't think I want to follow this up and around because I think that's just going to make sort of an ugly gaping hole here that doesn't need to be, and the metal bumper beam is back behind there and I don't know how that would look. I don't know. I'm going to try and cut it right across there, and if I don't like the way it looks, we'll go back and cut this piece out, and then we'll see where we end up. Oh my gosh, I've wanted to do that for so long. Clearly those mufflers have got to go. It doesn't even really super noticeably change the lines of the car. You almost wouldn't notice. I think with smaller mufflers tucked up in there, it's going to look fine. All right, this little piece needs to be cut off. All right, there's how that's looking with that little bit of fender liner cut out. So you can see there's a hole right there. That's metal. That's where this thing was mounted onto that before. I'm gonna make a hole in the fender liner right there and clip it to that piece of metal so that it's more rigid and not flappy. And then I think there's supposed to be clips or screws or something that connect these. Those are long gone, but now I've got some extra clips. So I will attach this piece of fender liner to the bumper cover along here, and that should help keep it all a little more rigid. I put a piece of wood here just in case I push through there a little too hard, and I don't want to drill a hole in my tire. Well, I'm just using some short little bolts and these nylon lined nuts to lock them in. Oh, and I've also got a washer on the inside. And then another bolt, washer and locking nut connecting the fender liner to this hole in the metal here. And here's how that ends up looking in the wheel well. I do have these two bolts that are kind of visible right here, but I think maybe just a little bit of black paint on those would help. And that other one is sort of, I don't know if you can even see that, tucked down in there. And it just sort of contoured itself to the metal that's underneath, and it feels very solid. It actually feels more solid than it was before. All right, so that's all put back together. I'm just gonna go back with the grinder and clean up some of the little bits of plastic and stuff that weren't perfectly clean.
I wasn't sure how long it would take me to get something worked out for replacing the mufflers, so in the meantime I decided to clean things up under there and paint the now exposed original mufflers black, just to help them disappear a bit under there.
Alright, we are headed into the community of Glenwood. We're going to get those mufflers taken care of.
I did not make any sort of deal with Goofy's muffler shop. I went in, explained what I wanted to accomplish, he gave me a quote, and I paid full price. I came here because I've heard nothing but good things about this place for years. When I showed up this morning, I asked for permission to film the work, and he graciously accepted. The 2009 to 2013 Foresters came with dual mufflers, but it's a fake and completely unnecessary dual exhaust. There's a single large pipe which comes back from the engine, which then splits into two smaller pipes to the two gigantic mufflers. We're going to simply extend the single large pipe up to one small muffler tucked well up underneath the back of the car. This will help keep the cost down, as I only have to buy one muffler and pay for far less fabrication time than if we preserve the two pipes and two mufflers. It took him about an hour to complete the job, and I am super happy with how this came out. The car is slightly louder than it was before, but considering that I went from two gigantic mufflers to one tiny muffler, it is astonishingly quiet. has a slightly deeper, throatier sound, which is oddly satisfying, without being significantly noisier or obnoxious in any way. I mean, I do still want to be able to move quietly through the wilderness and not scare off the wildlife. Of course, I didn't think to take before pictures, but here's as close as I could get with what I had in my files. I took some measurements after it was done, and I calculated that I now have approximately a 34-degree departure angle, which appears to be about 6 degrees more than before. Here's how that compares to some other vehicles. My Forester does have a 1-inch lift, which also improves the angle, but then my Forester wasn't really designed to be an off-road rig like these are. Best of all, that annoying flap of plastic that was always snagging stuff is now gone, but the rear bumper doesn't look unnaturally chopped either. I couldn't be happier with how this turned out. I cut off the lower portion of the rear bumper cover using an angle grinder with a basic cutoff wheel. I followed the existing contours to keep it looking natural, and the grinder made fast and easy work of it. I removed this plastic piece from each side and cut off a bit of the fender liner that was hanging down. I bolted what was left back together. I then had a muffler shop eliminate the 2 large mufflers as well as the fake dual exhaust and installed a single very small muffler tucked well up underneath the car. The car is slightly louder, but it's very subtle. By my rough measurements and calculations, I gained approximately 6 degrees of departure angle. Here's how that compares to the stock departure angle of some purpose-built off-road rigs. If you'd like any further clarification on any of that, you can always go back and watch the first 11 minutes of this video. I hope you found it helpful, and thank you for watching.